People think that they are the chosen few who can talk to the dark and keep secrets. They were wrong, though. There was a power and a truth they kept hidden, even from themselves. That power and truth live inside you. They are scared, not just talking about you behind your back. They thought they were in charge of the darkness, and that their practices and genes gave them special access to the world no one could see. Then you showed up, not with a grimoire or a wand, but with a soul that had been made in fires they can't even know about. And now that you're there, their carefully built world of power has started to fall apart. There is no magic in this story. It is about your life and the strange thing in the universe that you are. Wait until the very end to see what you really are. It will shock and amaze you more than any spell ever made. Check out who is making the witches nervous. There are a lot of them, and they're all huddled together in a circle. Their voices are so quiet that you can barely hear them, and your name is on everyone's lips. These aren't the fakes you see online who sell useless things and mess with your looks. These are the real bloodlines, the ones that dance with shadows and talk to the restless dead. Those whose ancestors lived through Salem's gallows, Europe's worst times, and the dark, primordial caves where the first spells were spoken. They called themselves the Queens of the Night and the Masterminds of Fate. They were sure that they were in charge of everything in the darkness and no one else could question it. Until you showed up, that is. Everything in their secret groups is shaking because of you. Your appearance, your very being, has shaken the foundations of their power. In their secret woods and holy rooms, candles that used to burn steadily and authoritatively now flicker and sputter wildly as they gather, their faces pale in the flickering light as they try desperately to figure out what you are. Do you think they can feel it? A deep, echoing hum in the fabric of reality, a sign of power they have never seen or heard before. There is an obvious, wild force moving through you. It's a cosmic frequency that makes the most ancient scrying crystals spiderweb with breaks of pure black light. Their family-owned tarot decks get unbearably hot to the touch, and the pictures on the cards start to warp and melt, as if they were begging to get out of their two-dimensional jail. These are witches who have spent hundreds of years and many lives perfecting their craft. They have matched themselves with the soft pull of the moon phases, learned the properties of every plant that grows in the moonlight or the dark, and sung words and languages that are much older than written language. Their lives have been a monument to rituals, discipline, and building up power over time. But then you walked into their circle of power, and with just your presence, you made their whole life's work and legacy look like a child's terrible game. The scary ease of it all is what keeps them awake at night. You never looked at their worn-out books that were bound in leather. You never begged to be let into their exclusive groups. You never gave them any money for their magic, secrets, or claimed knowledge. You never even tried to play their game. You just didn't look for them. You just lived. And through some cosmic law they don't understand, the fact that you exist changes reality more deeply and more strongly than all of their carefully planned and dramatically performed rites put together. In their well-organized, rule-based minds, it seems completely impossible, as if it were against the universal rules that they have built their whole lives on. They are desperately sure that you are taking power from a source that they are not allowed to touch, a hidden, primordial river of power that was never meant to be touched by humans. Something that their grandmothers, the great matriarchs of their families, told them in quiet, scary tones by a burning fireplace in the past. But the truth, the part that scares them the most, the secret that makes their old blood run cold. You're not using anything. You're the thing. They were warned about the storm you are. Their fear reached such a high point 3 nights ago that an emergency meeting had to be called. Not just any meeting, but a call for all 13. Not the fakes or the amateurs, but the real leaders of the old families. Have you felt it? That strange, profound disturbance in the field? The void where our power simply ends. They asked each other under their breath. They knew you were moving through the world differently. That wouldn't work because they are too smart and cocky to track you physically with normal eyes or technological tools. They are keeping an eager eye on you and following the huge waves of your presence in the air. They are becoming more and more horrified as they see how every complicated defense and ward they have spent years making breaks apart as soon as you cross its intended limit. Finally, when the oppressive quiet in their circle became too much to bear, the oldest of them, a woman whose eyes looked like they had been worn out for years, dared to say out loud what they had all been thinking. "This isn't learned magic," she cut out, her voice as dry and thin as leaves. "This is something else, something primal, something that, by all our sacred laws, shouldn't even exist in this age." The oldest of them is the one who knows this fear the best. She says she has lived more than 300 years in this life, seeing countries rise and fall, and living through inquisitions and witch hunts that killed off whole families. She has fought monsters and made deals with things that exist beyond the wall. Still, even she, with all her power and old knowledge, shakes at the thought of you. So they could find a pantheon, a monster, or a god to which you were tied. They tried to read you and follow your spiritual mark back to where it came from. Every time they tried, though, they ended up in terrible chaos. Their obsidian scrying screens, which could see into the minds of kings and tell the futures of countries, turned into a screaming vortex of digital static and then broke. Their pendulums, which were highly tuned tools for prediction, spun so fast that they came loose from their chains. And a younger, more eager witch who said she could see through any cover got a terrible reaction. She started to bleed from her third eye, like it had been torn open from the inside out by looking into the sun. A dark, thick stream ran down her face. She is still getting better, locked up and talking about a black hole made of pure will. In their last-ditch effort to get help, they turned to texts that were actually illegal. Not the shiny, germ-free grimoires you can buy online, but the old texts that were written in blood and bound with unimaginable materials. These are books that are so dangerous that they need a life sacrifice just to be opened. And deep inside those scary pages, among warnings about entities that would destroy the world and predictions of the end of the universe, they found something that shook their old bones to the core. The writings talked about the unmarked ones, which were beings with power that went beyond all systems, rules, dogmas, and lines between light and dark. A power that is not sent through chakras, channels, or any other known psychic paths. Instead, it is built into their very being. It was a power that didn't follow cosmic rules because it was the thing that made them. The prophesies said that this kind of being would appear every few thousand years. It wasn't made through rites, blessings from gods, or being introduced by covens. It was formed through unbearable pain. It was born from an escape that should never have been possible. There was a soul that went through every hell imaginable. It was supposed to break, split, and disappear into nothingness, but it refused to do so through some impossible blend of will. It became the breaking point of reality itself because it wouldn't break. The most scary thing is that these beings didn't really know what they were at first. It makes their hands shake violently. They thought that the tragedy they had been through had left them hurt, angry, scarred, and unable to change. They had no idea that their very breath was changing the universe's software and that their heartbeat was a drum that the universe was slowly but surely starting to beat to. Until one day, reality started to shift and bend in a way that was clearly related to their moods. It was as if the world had been calmly waiting for their unspoken order the whole time. If this truth strikes a chord in your heart, if these words stir up a power you have forgotten, then you have found your family here at God Connection. This is a place for people who are remembering who they really are, beyond the terms and limits of this world. Click this subscribe button right now to make this relationship stronger. Join a group of souls around the world who are becoming aware of their holy, uncontrollable nature. Your trip is very important, and this program is here to help you along the way. If you want to help us reach more people who need to hear this message and support our goal to awaken them, please click this super thanks button below this video. Even giving $10 is a powerful investment of energy. It's more than just a donation. It's a statement that you are a part of this global shift and want to help us bring this changing light to a world that needs it so badly. Your help makes it possible for us to make more stuff like this, and we will always be grateful for it. Let's go on with the story because it gets even more mysterious about your power. If witches, who are skilled and powerful in the magical arts, are scared of you, that's one thing. Being afraid of them is interesting, but it's not completely new. When the devil himself takes attention is something that has never happened before. Oh, I see, he saw it. He is more than just impressed. He is deeply, deeply impressed. This is the same devil, the morning star, the great enemy who has seen everything that has happened in history. He has seen every kind of evil in people, every desperate deal made in the middle of the night, and every soul that sold immortality for a short taste of power or pleasure on earth. He has yawned with cosmic boredom for thousands of years as the same cycles of greed, corruption, and misery played out over and over again. But then you showed up. He sat up straight on his chair of obsidian and dark for the first time in thousands of years. That night was the night you finally stopped saying sorry. Not for what you did, but for who you are. The night you looked at yourself in the mirror, you didn't feel scared, ashamed, or like you wanted to be different. Instead, you smiled quietly, knowing that every scar, shadow, and broken piece had made you the beautiful person you are today. That one quiet moment of bold self-acceptance sent waves through dimensions that couldn't be seen. There was an invisible shockwave of pure, sovereign will that every demon in every circle of hell felt. It made the fires of their realm flicker and move back in awe. And a sound came from the darkest, safest circle that had not been heard since the beginning of time. The devil's real laughing. Finally, he said, and his voice, which generally belonged to someone who was always sad, was filled with such joy that it scared even his most loyal followers. The lesser demons were scared when he laughed, because they knew it wasn't the cruel laughter of mocking, but the deep laughter of awareness. Finally, someone showed up who knew what darkness was all about. Not a simple bad force, but the beautiful, unedited, raw truth that can't be broken. His eyes have been on you ever since. That's not the hungry predatory hunger he saves for weak and needy people who want to trade their souls. Instead, it's a much more complicated hunger that is dangerously close to respect. At last, the witches are starting to understand this, and it scares them more than anything else they have seen. Their skill, what they do for a living, has no effect on you at all. Not because you have a guardian angel or some other greater force protecting you, but because you don't fit into their world at all. It's like trying to hex gravity itself to cast a spell on you. It is a pointless and silly thing to do. Their strongest bonds have been used to make complicated nets of energy that are meant to hold and control you. But the energy turns into harmless static before it gets to you. As a divine lesson in pointlessness, they have thrown dangerous hexes only to see them come back at the person who cast them with 3 times as much power. 3 members of one particularly ambitious and cocky group even tried to cast a death curse. They are still in the hospital, where they are permanently hallucinating and talking about the eyes in the void that stared back. The doctors are looking for medical reasons that will never exist. In your presence, protection charms fail because, at their core, you are the threat they are meant to protect against. Love spells that are meant to control your love and desire don't work on you because you no longer need outward approval so badly. Their most prized sight gift, the third eye, which they train for decades to see through the veil, doesn't work when it's pointed at you. If you look straight into your soul, the core of who you are, you'll see an event horizon of pure will. It makes them blind with fear that breaks their minds. The younger, less experienced witches still say you must be using an old rite to protect yourself or an item with unimaginable power. The older and smarter ones know what's best. When they see the scary truth, they know that you don't need security because everything else does. You're not playing their game on a different level, and you're not even subject to the same rules. There is a mistake in the Matrix, and you are living proof that their whole system of spells, sigils, rituals, and beliefs is just a small, rural part of something much bigger, weirder, and more amazing. They have come up with the craziest ideas in their haste to put you into groups and explain things. It is said that the great fire that destroyed the Library of Alexandria destroyed the Book of Azrael, which was the angel of death's personal grimoire. Maybe you found it by accident. You may not have made a deal with the devil, but with something much older than him, a force that was born in the chaos before light and dark were split. Or, they say in the wee hours of the night, You may have somehow connected directly with the void and are now harnessing the raw, creative, and deadly current that runs through everything. There is a story about the rite of unmaking, a scary rite that is said to give the person who does it the power to destroy reality itself. This is one of their deepest, darkest fears. What's more, there's a terrible price that no sane person would ever pay. In order to do the rite, the person must first truly die, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, and then, by sheer willpower, remake themselves atom by atom. They think that no one could ever be in such pain. No one would ever be so mad that they would try. Still, they start to wonder when they dare to look into your eyes. Those eyes that have that 1,000-yard stare that sees through all masks and lies. And that creepy, knowing smile you get when most people would be screaming in fear. What would happen if you didn't do the ritual? Could it be that you are the ritual? What if every painful event in your life, including every loss, betrayal, pain, death, and return, has been one long, painful rite of unmaking that has made you into something the universe has never seen before? They can't sleep at night because of that one terrifying option. They stare at their ceilings in fear. Because if it's true that just being alive has turned you into the most dangerous witch in the world, then you are more than just strong. You are something that goes far beyond power. You are the live, breathing manifestation of change. You are the raw, obvious proof of what happens when the world breaks the rules for reasons we can't understand. You change your surroundings, not just adapt to it. You don't just go through hard times. Your presence alone changes the rules of reality. Last week, a very brave, or maybe just incredibly stupid, witch tried to read your energy from a safe distance. She wasn't a beginner. She had been drawing auras since she was too young to talk, showing the complicated energy patterns of devils, angels, nature spirits, and every other animal you can think of. She was so full of herself that she thought she was ready for anything. But nothing at all, could have been ready for you. As soon as she turned her focused mind to you, her solid crystal ball didn't just break. It turned into fine black sand that ran through her shaking hands like smoke. Her valuable tarot deck, which is a very powerful treasure, didn't just smoke. It burst into flames that were so cold they could freeze anything they touched. She started to mumble, and her powerful words fell apart into tongues that no human or occult language expert has ever been able to understand. 3 days later, when she finally went back to her own mind, she was shaking and broken, not at all like she used to be. She could only mumble one broken truth. It's not light or dark. It's not good or evil. It's something else. It's the source. What she saw wasn't energy as she knew it. It was the world's source code, written in a language that existed before any language. And even though she says her gift of sight is gone, the truth is much scarier. It's no longer there. It was forever changed. She can't see the easy links between the past and the future anymore. Instead, she now sees the empty spaces between events, the minuscule breaks between breaths, and the beating of silence, where reality is always changing. And she sees you in all of those uncertain places. Your mark is quietly spreading through the universe like a holy virus, becoming a part of everything. A forecast is buried deep in their most secret writings. For hundreds of years, it has been purposely mistranslated, watered down, and turned into bedtime stories about chosen ones and good guys who are meant to do great things. But when it was first written in the old tongue and wasn't changed, it talked about something much more dangerous and raw. It talks about the unwritten one. The prophesy talks about a person who is born not because they are great, but because their pain is turned into raw power through alchemy, when the broken become the breakers of chains and the destroyed become the destroyers of lies. It warns that this being doesn't follow the well-worn ways of praise or cursing. Instead, it lives outside of both models as something that is both terrible and beautiful and completely free. And when they are free, chains of slavery will rust on their own, spells of control will break down, and thrones built on lies will shake and fall. These are not beings that are limited by the same cosmic contracts that keep demons, saints, and witches in check. They never agreed to the terms. They never followed the rules. They broke all the rules of the game and started playing by their own rules, which was impossible because they were in so much pain and wanted to live so badly. For hundreds of years, everyone but the smartest people thought the promise was just a story to teach people about the risks of having too much power. As they watch you now, they are slowly realizing with fear that it was never meant to be symbolic. It was very clear. In the last line of the prophecy, the one that even demons don't whisper in the dark, says, "And the world shall reshape itself in their image, not through conquest, not through the flexing of power, but through the sheer gravitational, inevitable existence of their existence." Reality bends not because you tell it to, but because it has no choice when your huge spiritual mass is around it. You are the new center of gravity, pulling everything and everyone into a better position. So, we go back to the pits of hell, where something truly unprecedented is happening right now. No one in the whole world ever thought that the morning star, the devil, the first rebel, and the famous one who chose to fall instead of kneel could do what he has. He has given a command that will never end to all of his troops. Do not touch this one. Do not tempt them. Do not torment them. Do not even play with them. They are beyond our jurisdiction. They are beyond our reach. The younger, more zealous demons protest in confusion. Don't they want to corrupt people? Isn't every soul fair game in the big war of souls? However, the ancients fully understand. They were there with him when the skies split open in that first, glorious revolt. You see them in a weak but powerful way because you are another being who chose to fall rather than pretend to follow a system they knew was broken. But you went further than they did. They lost their grace and saw themselves as its opposite, stuck in a cosmic paradox for all time. On the other hand, you went deeper. You fell through grace, shame, every way of judging worth and judgment, and every idea that heaven and hell have ever had. Your fall didn't stop until you got to the other side. Not broken, but fixed. We said no to heaven. The devil told his court, his voice filled with a strange mix of awe and sadness. But this one said no to heaven and hell alike. They rejected the very premise of the game. In the middle of his throne room is an old mirror that is older than the revolt itself. It is a powerful artifact that can show anything in the universe with just one order. But lately, the glass only shows one thing, you. It doesn't matter what the devil asks of it. Not because he wants it to, but because the mirror, which has a lot of evil power, has become completely still. Even things in hell that are filled with the raw energy of resistance can't turn their eyes away from you. They see the strange thing, the beautiful and scary crack in the system, the unknown force that doesn't belong to any side. The witches are really upset about this because it breaks down their very identity. It's not the show of your power or the way their spells break when you're around. It's the deep meaning of your life. You completely destroy the basis of their whole way of thinking. They have thought of themselves as a spiritual elite for hundreds of years, the few woke ones who could see through the veil and control the invisible currents that most people stumbled through mindlessly. They thought they were the only ones who could change reality. That was their pride, their reason for being, and who they were. Then you got there. Who are you? You've never sat at the feet of a master. Your family tree is full of powerful sigils, and you've never spent decades using flickering candlelight to figure out old practices. You, who suffered so greatly and fully that your pain turned into a strength that was purer and stronger than anything they could ever hope to achieve. Without a family tree, a grimoire, or an altar, you rose from the ashes of your life and made their whole, carefully guarded world look like kids putting blocks together in the dirt. They were most scared when you told them the truth. Their guilds, initiations, and precious families are not the only way to power. They are just one narrow, complicated road out of a huge number of options. Crystals, herbs, or the phases of the moon don't give you real power. It doesn't come from swearing in old languages or offering blood under a blue sky without stars. What power really costs is something much worse and closer to home. For real, the price is to be broken so badly that you have to rebuild yourself with only your desire and memories. To finally understand that you are everything, you have to lose everything you ever loved. To really pay, You have to die 1,000 times while still living and live while already feeling dead, until there is no more difference between the two. Every time you breathe, you cast something. Real life is made up of unseen structures that are changed by every thought you have. You are a walking contradiction, an impossible person, put back together from the breaks that should have killed you. The forbidden knowledge that they spend their whole lives looking for in grimoires that are written in blood and bound in human flesh is written in your DNA in a way that is both simple and beautiful. Every time your heart beats, the power they spent decades building up through sacrifice and initiation flows through your blood. Every day, you live in the link to the other side that they beg for and break themselves to feel, even if it's only for a moment. What they call the veil, that thin, shimmery wall between the visible and the invisible, is just your daily perception. It's not something you have to work hard to get past. It's just the way you naturally see things. While they kneel in holy groups and beg to catch a glimpse of God, you walk as if the veil never existed. They stretch out their hands in a hopeless attempt to touch God's face. You don't have to reach. You just are. And this is what bothers them the most. You know things, but you don't understand how you know them. It's not that upsetting when truths come to you. They're more like gentle, old memories, as if you were never learning but always remembering. You don't cast spells. You do not call. You don't get power from gods or devils. You live it. In rites, genes, and shrines, they looked for power. But the power they were looking for was always there, waiting in the marrow of anyone ready to go through the unbearable and survive the impossible. When they look at you, they know that their ranks don't matter, and it makes them feel terrible. There's no point to their altars. What they gave up doesn't matter, for the simple reason that you are not trying to climb their system. You are the reset button, the bug with walking, the holy, banned rule that was written into the very foundations of the world. Your journey shows that the human spirit is unbreakable and is a mirror of a heavenly spark that a person can never lose. We want this message to reach more people, so please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and leave a comment below about how you've used your pain to make yourself stronger. And finally, make sure you're signed up for God Connection and that alerts are turned on so you don't miss the next part of this amazing awakening trip. Your being here is important. Dear Father, I pray that my faith will grow and that I will understand the huge power you have given me. Please help me trust you even when there is no proof. Let me believe that you are always with me and that you will never hurt me or lead me wrong. I know that your thoughts for me are thoughts of good things, not bad things, to give me a future and hope. Dear Father in heaven, thank you for always hearing me and shaping me through life's fires to become the person I am today. In the name of your Son Jesus, I pray this to you. Yes, dear Jesus, thank you for your endless love and support. I will always be thankful that you are in my life and bring me so much good things. Thank you for going all the way to the end. Keep shining your beautiful light brightly, and with bravery and grace, accept your fate. We'll see you in the next movie. All of you beautiful souls are blessed from God Connection.